The man did not believe in bad luck or cursed places. He believed in cheap deals and quiet living. His name was Daniel. He was tired of the city, tired of noise, tired of people who never stopped talking. When he saw the old house listed online for a very low price, he felt lucky. The house stood far from the town. It was large, made of old stone and wood, with broken paint and silent windows. No one had lived there for many years. The seller did not say much. He only said the house had been empty for a long time. Daniel did not ask questions. He thought an abandoned house only meant extra work, not danger. On the first day, Daniel moved in alone. The air inside the house felt cold, even during the day. Dust covered the floor like a thin blanket. Every step made a soft sound. As if the house was listening, he laughed at the feeling. Old houses make strange noises. He told himself, wood settles, pipes move, walls breathe. That night, Daniel cooked a simple meal and went to bed early. The silence outside was deep, no cars, no people. Only wind. At midnight, he woke up. He did not know why, at first. Everything was quiet. Then he heard it. A soft sound came from below the floor. Not loud, not clear. Just a slow, dull movement. Daniel sat up in bed. He held his breath and listened. The sound stopped. He waited. Nothing happened. After a few minutes, he lay back down. Old house noises. He thought again, still. Sleep did not come easily. The next morning, Daniel explored the house. He checked the rooms, the walls, the stairs. Everything looked normal, just old. He noticed the basement door at the back of the house. It was locked with a heavy metal lock. The wood around it looked newer than the rest of the house. That felt strange. Why would someone repair only this door? Daniel touched the lock. It was cold, colder than the air around it. He shook it lightly. Nothing happened. He stepped back and smiled nervously. "You are thinking too much," he said out loud. That evening, the sounds returned, this time stronger. The floor vibrated slightly under his feet. Daniel froze. The sound was not random. It felt slow, careful, almost controlled. He knelt down and placed his hand on the floor. The vibration stopped again. Silence returned, heavy and uncomfortable. Fear began to grow. Not sudden fear, but the quiet kind that sits in the chest. The kind that makes thoughts slow. That night, the lights flickered. Once, twice, then steady again. Daniel stood in the hallway, heart beating fast. Then he heard it clearly. A faint sound, almost like breathing, coming from beneath the house. He wanted to leave, pack his bag, and drive away. But pride stopped him. He had bought this house. He would not run from shadows and sounds. The third night was worse. Daniel woke up to a low hum. Not a noise made by the house, but something deeper. The walls seemed to vibrate gently. The floor felt warm. That was when he knew something was wrong. Houses do not hum. He grabbed a flashlight and went to the basement door. His hands were shaking. The lock was moving, not breaking. Not shaking wildly, moving slowly, as if someone on the other side was touching it. Daniel stepped back. His mind screamed at him to run. But his feet stayed still. The humming stopped. The lock became quiet again. The house fell silent. Daniel stood there for a long time. The flashlight beam fixed on the door. Nothing else happened. He did not sleep after that. Morning came slowly. As sunlight entered the house, Daniel felt small relief. In daylight, fear feels foolish, yet the memory of the sound stayed. He searched old records at the town office. The house had no crime history. No fires, no deaths, but something stood out. Many owners had bought the house. None stayed longer than a few months. No reasons were written. That evening, Daniel returned home. The house looked the same. quiet and empty. But he knew now. It was not empty. As he stood in the hallway, the floor beneath him vibrated once more. Soft, slow, alive, Daniel whispered to himself, "Whatever is under this house, it should not be there." And the house, silent and watching, agreed. Daniel did not leave the house. He told himself that running would not answer anything. Fear was easier than truth, but truth mattered more. All day he felt watched. Not by eyes, but by presence. The house felt awake now. He ate little and drank little. Every sound made his head turn. Every shadow felt too deep. By evening, he made a decision. He would open the basement. Whatever was below, he would face it. Daniel bought tools from town. A crowbar, a hammer, a strong flashlight. The shop owner looked at him strangely, but asked nothing. When night came, the house grew quiet again. Too quiet, no wind, no insects, no movement. Daniel stood before the basement door. The metal lock looked old but strong. His hands shook as he placed the crowbar under it. He paused. A part of him hoped something would stop him. Nothing did. The lock broke with a sharp sound. The noise echoed through the house. Then silence returned, heavier than before. Daniel pulled the door open. Cold air rushed out, carrying a strange smell. Not rot, not mold. Something clean but unfamiliar. He stepped down slowly. The wooden stairs creaked under his weight. The flashlight beam cut through the darkness. The basement was larger than he expected. Too large for an old house. The walls were smooth. Not stone, not wood. They looked metal. Dark and seamless. Daniel frowned. This was not human work. At the far end of the room, he saw a shape. Then another. Then a third. They moved, slowly, carefully. And then he saw them clearly. 3 girls stood together. They looked almost human, but not fully. Their skin had a soft glow, pale blue and silver. Their eyes were large and dark, filled with fear, not anger. Their clothes were torn and strange, made of material Daniel had never seen. They froze when the light touched them. One stepped back, shielding the others. None of them spoke. Daniel's heart raced. His mind screamed alien, danger, run. But his body did not move. He raised one hand slowly. A human gesture of peace. "I won't hurt you," he said softly. They did not understand the words, but they understood the tone. Their shoulders relaxed slightly. One of the girls collapsed to her knees. She looked weak, exhausted. Daniel stepped forward without thinking. The others flinched, their eyes sharp, ready to fight if needed. Daniel stopped and lowered himself to the ground. "I'm not a threat," he repeated calmly. "I live here." The girls exchanged looks. A silent conversation passed between them. Then one pointed toward a corner of the basement. Daniel followed her gesture. There lay broken devices, wires, and metal parts. Alien technology, damaged and dark. A ship, he realized, or what was left of one. Understanding hit him slowly. They had not chosen this place. They had fallen here, trapped, hiding. The girls watched him closely as he looked around. They expected fear or anger. Instead, Daniel felt something else. Pity. He stood up slowly and backed away toward the stairs. He did not want to scare them further. "I will bring food," he said. Pointing upstairs, then back to them. They did not reply. But they did not attack either. Minutes later, Daniel returned with water and bread. He placed them on the ground and stepped back. The girls hesitated. Then one reached out. She sniffed the food and carefully took a bite. Her eyes widened. She ate faster, then handed some to the others. They ate like people who had not eaten in days. Daniel sat on the stairs and watched quietly. The fear in his chest eased. Replaced by wonder, the galaxy was not empty. And it was standing in his basement, As the night went on, the girls rested against the wall, their breathing slow and calm. For the first time since he arrived, the house felt peaceful. But Daniel knew this peace would not last. Creatures that hide are usually running from something. And whatever forced 3 alien girls to hide beneath an old human house was still out there, watching. Daniel did not sleep that night. He sat on the stairs leading to the basement, listening to the slow breathing below. The 3 alien girls rested against the metal wall. Their bodies were thin and tired. Fear had not left their eyes, but it was quieter now. When morning light reached the basement door, Daniel finally moved. He brought more water, simple food, and a blanket. He placed everything gently on the floor and stepped back. The girls watched him carefully, not as enemies, not as friends, but as someone unknown. One of them stood up slowly. She pointed at herself and made a soft sound, a name Daniel could not understand. Then she pointed to the others and repeated the same action. Daniel nodded. "I'm Daniel," he said. Tapping his chest, they watched his mouth closely. Trying to learn, communication was slow. Words did not work, so they used hands. Eyes, simple signs. Daniel learned small things. They were not soldiers. They were not warriors. They were young, not children, but not fully grown in their kind. They were explorers, sent to watch, not to fight. Over the next days, Daniel stayed home. He called in sick to work. The house above felt different now. It was no longer empty. It was hiding lives. The girls slowly became less afraid. They accepted food without hesitation. They drank water as if it was rare. One evening, one of them touched the metal wall and closed her eyes. A faint light appeared under her skin. Images filled the air like soft shadows. Daniel stepped back in shock. But he did not run. The images showed stars. A small ship moving through space. Then fire, light, and sudden darkness. The ship fell, systems failed. Voices screamed in a language Daniel could not understand. The images changed. A planet burned. Cities broke apart. Their whole world was dying. Not from war, but from something worse. A force that erased worlds slowly and silently. The girls showed fear again. Not fear of Daniel, fear of memory. They showed hunters, tall shapes with cold eyes and heavy armor. Creatures who tracked survivors, not to save them, but to control them. Daniel understood enough. The galaxy was dangerous, and humans were not respected in it. The girls showed another image. A group of aliens laughing, pointing at a small human figure, weak, slow, unimportant. That hurt Daniel more than he expected. Humans were nothing to them, but still. These girls had come here, to Earth, to hide under an old house. One of the girls touched Daniel's hand carefully. Her fingers were warm. She made a soft sound and placed her hand on her chest. Trust. Daniel felt something change inside him. He was not brave like heroes in stories. He was just a man who bought a cheap house. Yet here he was, standing between fear and hope. That night, Daniel brought a small radio downstairs. He played soft music. The girls listened with curiosity. One of them smiled. It was small, but real. Days passed. Daniel taught them simple human words. Food, water, safe, home. They repeated them slowly, their voices soft and careful. In return, they showed him more. Not with words, but with light and memory. They were hunted because they knew something. Something about the force destroying worlds. Something others wanted buried. Earth was quiet, ignored, seen as weak and unimportant. That was why they chose it. A place no one would look. Daniel realized the truth then. His house was not random. It was the last place no one cared about. But hiding never lasts forever. One night, as Daniel closed the basement door, the floor vibrated again, stronger than before, far away, in the dark space beyond Earth. Something had noticed the signal, and it was coming. The vibration did not stop this time. It grew stronger, deeper, like a warning. Daniel felt it in his bones. The girls froze, their eyes wide with fear. They knew this feeling. One of them rushed to the broken devices. Her hands moved fast, pressing parts together. A weak light blinked and died, too late, that night. The sky above the house changed. Clouds moved in strange patterns. The air felt heavy and sharp. Daniel stepped outside. The stars looked wrong. One of them moved. No, not a star. A ship, dark and silent, hiding its shape. The girls stood behind him at the door, their bodies tense, ready to run. But there was nowhere to go. A low sound filled the air. Not loud, but powerful. The ground shook. The ship hovered above the trees. Invisible lights scanned the land below. Searching, Daniel's heart raced. He wanted to tell the girls to hide deeper. But they were already shaking their heads. They had been found. A beam of light struck the ground near the house. The old trees bent and burned. Figures appeared from the light. The hunters had arrived. They were tall and covered in dark armor, their faces hidden behind cold masks, their movements slow and confident. One of them stepped forward. A deep voice filled the air. Translated by unknown tech. "Step aside, human." Daniel did not move. His legs felt weak, but he stayed standing. The girls clung to each other behind him. "You are insignificant," the voice continued. "These beings are not yours." Daniel swallowed. He had no weapon, no power, only a choice. "No," he said quietly. His voice shook. But the word was clear. The hunters paused, confused. Humans were not supposed to resist. One hunter raised an arm. A weapon formed from light and metal. The girls cried out softly. Daniel stepped forward, placing himself fully between them and the hunters. His hands were empty. "You will not take them," he said. Louder now, the hunters laughed, a cold, sharp sound. Humans break easily. The weapon aimed at Daniel's chest. Time slowed. Fear filled his body. Then something changed. One of the girls touched the broken device on the floor. Light surged through it. Not strong, but alive, the device responded. Not to power, but to intent. Daniel felt warmth around his hands. The alien tech reacted to him. Recognizing something unexpected, the hunters stepped back. Their scans showed something wrong. The human was interfacing with alien systems. Impossible. Daniel did not understand how. He only knew he had to protect them. The device formed a weak shield around the house. Not strong enough to fight a fleet, but strong enough to surprise. The hunters hesitated. This was not in their records. A human activating alien defense. Daniel used the moment. He spoke clearly. "You think humans are weak. You think we are nothing, but we stand when others hide." The girls watched him. Their fear mixed with hope. They had never seen this. The shield flickered, straining. The hunters prepared to attack. Then the ship above sent a signal. More scans, more calculations, risk appeared. Humans were unpredictable. This one especially. The lead hunter raised a hand. The attack paused, retreat was ordered. Not because of fear, but because this moment mattered. The hunters vanished back into the light. The ship rose into the sky and disappeared among the stars. Silence returned. The forest burned quietly in the distance. Daniel fell to his knees, exhausted, shaking, alive. The girls rushed to him, helping him up, their eyes filled with something new. Respect. That night, the house stood alone again. Old, quiet, broken, but no longer weak, far away. In the cold space beyond Earth, a report was sent. Humans are not what we believed. This planet is no longer insignificant. And the house that should have stayed empty had just warned the galaxy. Morning came slowly after the hunters left. The sun rose over burned trees and broken ground. The old house still stood, silent and untouched. Daniel sat on the front steps. His body ached, his hands still shook. But his mind was clear. The girls stood near him. No longer hiding behind walls or shadows, they looked at the sky, then at Daniel. One of them placed her hand on the ground. A soft light spread under the house. The structure responded. Daniel watched in surprise. The house was changing. Not in shape, but in purpose. The underground room repaired itself slowly. Broken devices came back to life. Not fully, but enough. The girls were stronger now. They stood taller, their fear quieter. Earth had given them time. Days passed. Daniel returned to simple life. Cooking, cleaning, repairing the house. But nothing felt normal anymore. The galaxy had touched his world, and it would not forget. The girls learned human words faster now. They spoke slowly, carefully. Daniel, safe. Home. That word stayed with him. Home one night, they showed him more images. Not of fear, but of hope. Messages sent quietly through space. Others like them were watching. Survivors, hidden, afraid. Listening, the message was simple. There is a world where kindness exists. There is a species that stands without power. Humans. Daniel did not feel like a hero. He still felt small. But the galaxy does not measure courage by size. Weeks later, something new appeared in the sky. Not a hunter ship, not hidden, a slow, open vessel. Peace signals clear and bright. Watching from a distance, the girls stood beside Daniel. No fear this time, only calm. The ship did not land. It observed, it learned, then it left. Carrying a truth back into the stars. Humans protect what is weak. Humans stand even when they should run. News spread quietly through alien worlds. Not loudly, not with war, but with respect. Earth was no longer ignored. It was marked, not as a threat, but as an ally. The old house became something else. A safe point, a signal. Daniel repaired the fence, fixed the roof, planted trees where the land had burned. Life continued, but the house was never empty again. One evening, as the sun set, Daniel stood at the doorway, the girls beside him. He thought about the day he bought the house. Cheap, forgotten, unwanted, just like humanity in the eyes of the galaxy. Now things were different. The girls looked up at him and spoke clearly for the first time together. Human stands, Daniel smiled. Not proud, not loud, just human, far beyond Earth. In councils of powerful species, a new rule was spoken quietly. Do not underestimate humans. They do not need strength to matter, and on a quiet world. In an old house that should have stayed empty, the future of humanity had begun.